Hello, in today's lesson we are going to talk about an interesting topic, Gillette morally superior to the rest of us. For this topic we have selected three highly capable individuals to discuss three different aspects of society, which are functionalism theory, conflict theory, and symbolic interaction. For this section, we have selected Madeline Ibanez, who is going to be covering symbolic interaction, Swan Zhang, who is going to be talking about conflict theory, and lastly is going to be your host for this video, Chino Cuello, who will be discussing functionalism. But before we start talking about the three sections, I want to give you a little background of what are we going to be presenting. Gillette, morally superior to the rest of us. Writing by Lorne Gunther in January 2019. The article is about a response to Gillette's new campaign, which talks about the best a man can get, where men should not make an excuse of their actions and behavior with regards of harassment, bullying, or domestic violence. Instead, they should help to leave one another to be accountable for their actions to make a change to society. We live in a world where moral issues are affecting the quality of life more and more. Moral issues concerning public figures and entities are getting extensive media attention. Because of it, people are getting into conflict and the level of trust has fallen. Colin Wayne Leach, a professor of psychological science for the University of Connecticut, said, "Morality refers to the perceived correctness of social targets and refers to the quality such as honesty, sincerity, and trustworthiness." Let's begin with symbolic interactionism.
Hey everyone, now let's talk about symbolic interactionism. Symbolic interactionism is a sociological perspective primarily based off the work of George Herbert Mead that observes society on a micro level. The theory is that society is founded on the interaction between people and by its symbols. The meaning of these founding symbols are determined by society itself and by social interactions. Within the Gunther-Gillette article we are analyzing, the question of meaning is frequently brought up. Gunther opposes what he deems as an association of men with an inherently negative image. He accuses the brand of warping the meaning of its previously widely known motto, "The best a man can get," message to now having a new meaning, which he refers to as an anti-Y chromosome message of politically correct, feminist-inspired toxic masculinity. Also, it's important to note that Gunther's associated meaning with feminism is one of negative association. Gunther also makes a comparison between religious persecution and what he associates with the symbolic meaning perpetuated by Gillette. By making symbolic comparisons between religion, Gillette, and persecution, Gunther connects meanings he associates as negative under one umbrella perception of individual symbolic meaning. Now let's take a look at socialization and some elements of symbolic interaction and how we can relate them to Gunther's paper. Within symbolic interaction socialization, there exists a theory known as the looking glass self. This theory states that an individual's personality is shaped by how they see themselves based on the reactions of others. Let's take a look at this theory through Gunther's interpretation point of view of what he claims to be an anti-male message within the Gillette ad. If we follow along with Gunther's reasoning, the Gillette ad may shape the behavior of individuals within society. We can relate his concern to the looking glass self theory in that the ad could potentially harm a young boy's sense of self-image, identity, and self-esteem deriving from how he sees boys such as himself being portrayed within the media. According to Gunther, through the ad itself, instead of lifting men up, Gillette has put men, and essentially its own reputation within the male community, down.
Next, let's talk about conflict theory. Conflict theory, which is based on the ideas of Karl Marx, is a way of analyzing society that focuses on the inequalities. Conflict theory suggests that police often target a few groups that they believe to be dangerous rather than deal with the dangerous individuals. Conflict theorists believe that the law is frequently imposed in a discriminatory fashion to protect the dominant interests from the threat to social order. These statements fall in line directly with Gunther's point of view. His article states that the Gillette ad, which stands for the political correctness, sees the whole sex as the root of social ills, including harassment and bullying. Nowadays, men are generalized as a dangerous group and are unfairly targeted by the law. Conflict theory is a study on the struggles between the powerful and the less powerful. According to the article, male audiences are offended by the Gillette ad. This reflects the conflict between the political correctness, which is the powerful, and the male population, which is the less powerful in this scenario. Conflict theorists think that consensus exists when social inequality exists, since the powerful need to ensure their own interests are met. Similarly, the article states that it's easy and safe to agree with the progressive consensus that men are prone to make deviant actions. By supporting such a consensus, Gillette ad will be praised by the parties that represent political correctness. The consensus exists because there are social inequalities. The authority use their position to manipulate the consensus for their own interests, such as stabilizing the society. Overall, Gunther's editorial is consistent with conflict theory.
Now let's talk about a different theory, functionalism. According to the Introduction to Sociology, a Canadian focus, functionalism's main principle is if something persists in society, then it must serve a function. In short, Gunther's editorial is inconsistent with functionalism because functionalism states that human societies are composed of interrelated parts, with each part serving a function that helps maintain equilibrium in the whole society. This is the case of Gillette, who serves a function in society, providing a different approach to a norm that has been taught. Gunther's article doesn't agree with the position that Gillette is taking. He doesn't believe Gillette should be teaching us how to be a better man. Instead, he believes that Gillette's function in society is to sell razors. Gunther's article takes a strong approach to convince readers about what's wrong about Gillette's ad. The article does well in some areas that could be interpreted wrongly if you don't understand the message behind. Gillette, the best a man can get.
Gunther does a good job forming his article based on his interpretation of the underlying message within Gillette's ad. But he ignores the fact that there are others who may have watched the ad and received it as a message of positivity and encouragement. Symbolic interactionism is the idea that society is founded not only on individual, but also shared interpretation of meaning. By not discussing the acts and opinions of others with any sort of opposing views, Gunther ignores the shared meaning of Gillette's video, The Best a Man Can Get, within society. Essentially, one of the major problems with Gunther's paper, Gillette Morally Superior to the Rest of Us, is that it takes a tunnel vision approach to criticizing the ad and blaming it on other issues he seems to have with society's portrayal of men.
Gunther's call for a stop of the stereotype of men is stirring. However, his article is not very reliable. One of the reasons to the unreliability is the hasty generalization. Gunther mentions that the Gillette ad goes along with the progressive consensus about toxic masculinity. Consensus means a widely agreed opinion. However, he fails to explain in detail how is this opinion generally accepted in the society. No valid evidence in the article is given to support his argument. Gunter's article contains several fallacies, such as appeal to emotion and appeal to pity. A lot of emotional words are used in the article to evoke feelings of compassion from the readers. In conclusion, Gunter's editorial is aggressive rather than persuasive. The excessive use of emotional and biased language, the lack of evidence and logic, and the use of fallacies lessens the credibility and validity.
Thank you for watching our video. I hope you enjoy.